Thank you. I wish I could have made it to your testimony a little earlier, but I had some other commitments. But I appreciate all of you being here today. In my state, in Oklahoma, much of our state was built with railroads throughout our rural communities and were very important to the beginnings of our state. And of course now, as has been mentioned, we're seeing a decline in access and availability and infrastructure. I also serve on the Transportation Committee, and so we talk about rail a lot and all modes of transportation for our nation. And as was mentioned by Congressman Bartlett, we are experiencing some challenges with our energy industry and how do we supply the energy that our nation needs and the world needs. I disagree with him, though, on the need to look at other energy sources and more exploration and production. I hope we do that as a nation. And as we continue to look at alternative sources of fuel, are there any other alternative sources of fuel that can be used in the rail industry that maybe Congress could help encourage? I know that your main source of energy on the rails are used with coal, but that may not be in your expertise, but do you see any other forms of energy that can be used to power the rail systems and help you transport your goods and services?
I don't, as the energy person here, I don't know that I could address specifically to provide an alternative fuel to the actual railroad itself. I will tell you they also move material that we use for the operation of our nuclear plants. And to provide, these are base load plants. These provide power 24/7. And rail is very important in that aspect. So to switch to different types of fuels for us away from more conventional fuel, which we use for base load at this time with the technology that we have today, we are still going to be dependent on the rails for quite some time. I'd like to take a moment to address something that Mr. Bartlett said, is that we would love to see more transparency with the STB to find out why some of these costs are so high. So I absolutely agree with you, sir. I think that is part of the concern that we have. We have these decisions come down, and we're not exactly sure why they made that decision, and typically they're not helpful to us. But you'd have to ask, I think, the railroads as far as alternatives to be able to literally move the trains down the track. I don't know enough about that industry to tell you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, diesel is the primary fuel for locomotives, and but there has been some technological gains in diesel fuel utilization, and I mean the engines that they're making today are much more efficient than they were, say, 10 years ago. And so as we try to expand capacity, the addition of new locomotives will help the fuel efficiency. Today, with current technology, there's really not a good replacement for diesel, at least at this stage. There are concepts in development, but it's probably going to be diesel for quite a while.
Now, I was meeting with a railroad concern a couple weeks ago, and they were talking about the cost mile per gallon and transporting of services and goods on trucking versus the railroad, and we're saying that when you look at the miles per gallon per transport, that the rails actually have a better cost factor when it comes to delivering products and services versus the diesel engine of a truck. And I don't know if you've ever, of course you may not be able, I don't know if your industries can use trucking at all, but I'm sorry I missed all your testimony, but have you ever looked at the cost comparison between shipping on rails versus shipping on the road?
We use trucks for probably out of the 125,000 ton. We use 40,000 ton by rail, and the rest is by truck. And the cost to do the trucking for us is more of a time issue. We can get more timely delivery with a truck. Rail is still the cheapest because our product comes from the phosphate mines in Florida, the Canadian potash mines, and then we have 4 nitrogen producers left in the United States and 1 large one in Canada. So all of our product travels long distance to get in, and so we bring the product primarily to a central hub distribution center, and then we have to truck it out of there if we cannot receive direct distribution by rail from the production. And so, yes, we use trucks is more expensive for us. but it sometimes is the only way we can put product into our ag retail facilities.
Is that because of availability of rail, or is it sometimes based upon congestion? Like, we talk a lot about congestions on our highways and how congestion is time and it's money when it comes to shipping of products and goods.
I would say, in listening to the railroad systems, in some of their comments, congestion is an issue because so much more product is moved by rail than it was 10 years ago. And so it is much more economical for them to ship a 65 or an 85 car unit to an area and then allow us to truck it rather than to continue as we had in the past with the 2 and 3 car receivers. The 2 and 3 car receiver is still my cheapest way of receiving product, but from a economics and a rail congestion, they are doing the things that are going to make them the most money, and that is the unit trains. But that is not what we have invested in from our ag retail facilities since the 1960s. You know, we were been building these facilities on 2 and 3 car receivers.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think it takes a combination of both, rail and trucking, to make it all work.
It is now. Yes, I agree with you.